Liz,
Yep.
what are your thoughts on the social phenomenon, I suppose, of being more desirable when taken?
I think that's horseshit.
Horseshit?
That's horseshit.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know
Where
exactly what
people
you're
say,
talking about.
I get hit on all the time because I'm taken. And
I don't think it's because you're taken. I think it's because you feel secure and not desperate and not trying to date anybody. I think it's a difference in how you feel, not in whether you're taken or not. And I think that if you exuded that feeling, more. I don't find people who are taken more attractive, for starters. I'm like, okay, well, you're unavailable to me. Goodbye.
No, yeah, fair enough. That makes sense. And I suppose once you're aware of this idea, then it becomes a self-fulfilling thing.
Yeah.
Where you notice it when you're...
It's the confirmation bias thing.
Yeah.
Like, of course you're going to notice it more when you're taken because you're not, you're like, oh no, I'm taken. I don't know.
Where does it come from? Is it your ego? Is it an ego-driven thing where I've shackled myself to someone else but now I'm being hit on left, right, and centre?
I think people just like hitting on people who are emotionally unavailable. To be honest with you, I think it's lazy. I think it's basically just, like you can put yourself out there for someone who's emotionally unavailable because if they say no, then you can blame the fact that they're emotionally unavailable rather than take the hit to your ego. I don't know.
Fascinating. But you think it doesn't exist, this
I think
phenomenon.
it exists, but I don't think it exists for the reason that somebody's taken. I think it exists because somebody has a different disposition and a different vibe that they're putting out to the world.
Yeah, right. Interesting. I think I would more or less agree with you there. Fascinating stuff. Hello one, hello all to Ghosts of Boyfriends Past. Tom Harris here with my darling Elizabeth Best co-host. We're in temporary digs at the moment, Elizabeth.
We are. Uncle Zane's off sick, so we've got stand-in producer Scott Driscoll, lovely putting us up in his man cave and waving because doesn't want to be on mic, but we've got a new setup today, basically where we are recording in our non-studio place, and I love it. It's quite lovely. It's got a lot of like movie memorabilia around the place.
Yes, there's a lot of things for the eye to flip through, and Elizabeth and I are sitting on a couch at the moment, so we've got to
make sure our posture's
really
good
that
today.
The whole time. But here we are on the show. It's a main episode, and on this here podcast, we endeavour to have a guest on.
Yes.
And that guest tells us stories about their life, about love, dating, romance, etc. gone by.
Or, with today's guest, the lack thereof. Now, today, we have a guest. He's a performer, writer, critic, and autism advocate, Oliver Hetherington-Page. Hello, Oliver.
Hello. Thank you for having me, and you got that name very correct, which is somewhat of a rarity, but I'll take that as a win.
There we go.
Fabulous.
Points off the top.
Now, Oliver, explain to our audience why I said the seemingly rude-sounding somewhat of a love life and what you're here to chat about today.
So, yes, I mean, it's not inaccurate. My love life doesn't really exist. And I've written a show about it called The No Bang Theory. So,
The No Bang Theory
is a show all about autism and autism representation in shows like The Big Bang Theory, and then how that affects my dating life, hence the title, The No Bang Theory.
I love the title so much, Oliver. I love it.
And it will be playing Brisbane Festival from the 4th to the 7th of September, and then going up to Townsville for the North Australian Festival of the Arts, or NAFA, on the 27th and 28th of September. So it's a big month coming up in September for me.
Fantastic.
Doing No Bang Theory.
Queensland-based ghosties, you heard the man. A couple of dates in September, and then up to in Brisbane, and then up to Townsville. Fantastic.
So, Oliver, can you kind of give us a little bit of have you got a couple of stories that you can tell that give us a bit of a preview of the show without giving it away too much?
Look, I can, and I'll start with, I was listening to your preamble of why you always more attractive when you're taken question business, and I found it really interesting because this kind of gets to the story that I wanted to tell, that I was in love with the same girl for, I would say, 5 years, and it was completely unrequited. And I knew that it was unrequited, but I kept holding out hope that maybe at some point it would be requited, because it was easier than dealing with the feelings of inadequacy that being single brought up within me for a whole bunch of reasons.
See, that's what I was saying.
Wow, right off the top, we were on the right path. Yeah, gee whiz.
So 5 years, how did you, I guess, manage yourself during that? Were you close friends? Are you still close friends?
We're not. I think I pedestal. Right. I put her on a pedestal, and I wanted her to be the version of herself that existed in my head.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And do you think you were aware of these kinds of things during the time when it's live, or is this something that you sort of retroactively have sort of had to learn or figure out about yourself?
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
On some level, I knew it. You always kind of know. But I was also living in a time, in a place in my life where I was quite depressed and didn't have a lot of understanding and support structures going on for my autism and various other things. And so she became the symbol of, if I get this girl, if I get into this relationship, that will fix all my problems. Yep. That I will be the man with the girlfriend and I won't be different anymore because I'll be dating her. And that's not fair on her. And it's certainly not fair on me. And I get into this a lot more reasons why comedically, and it's quite a funny show in No Bang. But that's the kind of context of what No Bang looks like on a bad dating level, is this kind of idea that I felt I needed a girlfriend to fix me, that I thought I was... because I was autistic and I wasn't kind of seeing what that kind of love looked like, and all the statistics and all the stereotypes said you will be single and alone for the rest of your life because of your autism, that I was like, no, I'm going to get a girlfriend and it's going to be this girl and it's going to be amazing and she's going to fix all my problems and it's going to be just wow. And I kind of didn't ever stop to think, what's that doing to me? And then what's that doing to her? Because I now look back on her and I go, she was never all that nice to me. It was always a bit passive-aggressive.
Hindsight.
And a bit kind of, oh, there you go, sweetie, tap on the head. Oh. You're very... But when I didn't know any better, that was so much kinder than active aggression, which is what I was seeing a lot of the time. So I kind of held on to those minuscule moments of passive-aggressive niceness and turned it into a thing that didn't actually really exist.
I think that's something that we tend to do a lot. You know, even neurotypical people kind of try and put people into the box that we want them to fit in our head, so that they go with the story that we have playing out in our head. But in terms of the autism as well, how does that play into, like, you said you didn't have very many support structures at the time while this was going on. How did you kind of pull yourself into a place where you had those structures and better understanding of yourself?
I think there are a multitude of answers to that one. Obviously, time is a big one. I grew up, so did she, and I kind of realized that for a whole bunch of reasons I was only hurting myself by trying to keep on pursuing this. And the other one was, I kind of just realized that the thing about autism is that it is a spectrum, and that when I meet the person that I am going to be with, the fact that I'm autistic is probably going to be a gift, in that I am incredibly passionate about what I am into, and I will go above and beyond for the people I care about, and I'm inflexible, and I'll fight to the ends of the earth for the things that I care about. So they're good qualities in a relationship as well. So I think when I do find my person, the fact that I am autistic and understanding that about myself is actually going to serve me really well. But it's about understanding that, and I talk to a lot of young autistic men about this, that we are actually better partners, we're not necessarily all that successful in our late teens, early 20s, that kind of run around and explore period of dating. But as we get into the late 20s, early 30s, when we're in the kind of settled down, ready for something slightly more serious period of the dating journey, I'm talking in mass generalizations, obviously, that's when autistic men tend to be more successful, because it's when, and again, I'm being heteronormative and I acknowledge that within this conversation, when women start to kind of look for someone a bit more reliable, a bit more like calming, and that I don't want to say motherly because that makes it sound weird in a romantic context, and I don't necessarily mean it to, but that kind of, they're looking for someone they can settle down with and they can take care of each other in that kind of really romantic way, that when you're in your early 20s, you're like, oh, he's boring. He's, we're not going to have wild, fun stuff. But then it's that next, oh, I've been with the bad boy, I've had the wild fun, I'm now ready for the kind of stability, which is when I find, and I think about it, autistic people tend to form these really good, healthy relationships. But because our needs are different and our priorities tend to be different just by the nature of our brains.
Absolutely. And learning that about yourself as you do age and get older, do you find that reassuring to know that about yourself, where you'll the kind of person you'll develop into, and just because it isn't happening for you right this second doesn't mean it never will. Does that give you some optimism or hope or anything like that?
Look, it does. There are days when I am in my bedroom crying, why am I single? And I'm sure that happens to even neurotypical people. So I'm not going to pretend I suddenly don't want a girlfriend. I still do want a girlfriend. So, if anyone is single and available and listening to this,
please write in ghostofboyfriendspast@gmail.com. We can set that up. We can connect you guys. We absolutely can.
But,
do you regret that now?
It's vaguely, because I do a show about the fact that I'm a virgin. So if something happened now, that would mean a rewrite.
Oh, no. I mean, I feel like it's a rewrite that might be worth it, though. Like, come on.
Look, it's a rewrite I wouldn't complain about, but it is also a rewrite.
It's work. Can I just say as well that one thing that I know about most of my neurospicy... Look, most of my friends are a little bit neurospicy, if not on the spectrum. And I think the thing that I think makes them such good partners is that it's an element of being self-aware that a lot of other people don't have, right? Like you've probably thought a lot more about the way that you act and the way that you want to treat people and the way that you are in terms of self-awareness. I think that's a really big bonus in the dating world as people mature, because there are so many people that are, neurotypical and stuck in their what they think they are versus what they actually are, that I think, having that kind of introspection that you must have gone through is definitely a huge asset.
And I think this brings us back to the kind of no bang theory show side of it, is why I think neurodivergent people and autistic people make such great actors, is in order to be a performer, you need to be incredibly self-aware and you need to know what you bring to a room. And if you spend your life acting normal, which so many neurodivergent autistic people have to do, you get quite good at acting and you get quite aware of body and performance and what is necessary in this moment, what's not necessary, which are the same skills we use on stage. We're just using them slightly differently. So I feel far more comfortable when I'm playing Oliver Hetherington-Page in the No Bang Theory, which is a version of myself. I am me on stage. There is no character as such, than I am in real life, because that... And now when I am dating or whatever it is, that it is... I can be authentically me easier when I'm performing than when I am, for example, going on a first date, which admittedly I don't do all that often. But that kind of... idea, I think, informs the No Bang Theory and is a fundamental part of the journey of making it and figuring it out, is I couldn't do the No Bang Theory unless I had asked these questions about myself and asked, why am I still single? And actually be mostly okay with the reasons why I'm still single. And look, as I said before, there are days when I am complaining, oh, why am I still single? I want a partner. And like, that doesn't go away, and I don't think it ever will go away. And for all I know, if a partner appears tomorrow, I might be going, oh, no, please, I'm not ready, I'm not ready.
Sure,
I don't know, because I'm not necessarily been in that position, so I can't pretend that I have all the answers. But I think in order to do a show like the No Bang Theory, I have to be open and willing and listening to the stimuli that's coming in about what the world says about me and how I respond to that, both as an autistic person, as a performer, and in a dating context.
So the No Bang Theory has had a couple of seasons already, very successful seasons. What has the feedback been on the show for you so far?
It's been incredibly positive, and I wouldn't keep doing it if it hadn't been successfully positive. And the fact that I get to do it in Brisbane Festival at all is amazing, considering when it first started out, it was this small indie show that I was doing in small, tiny venues, and it's grown and it's grown and it's grown, and that's absolutely amazing. But I think the amazing feedback that I get is actually from other autistic people. It is, I've had someone come up to me and gone, I didn't have the language to that, for that experience, that it was something I kind of just knew about myself. I think I might be autistic. Someone, by seeing my show, was able to have the language to go through a diagnosis process and start thinking about themselves differently.
That's fantastic.
Absolutely amazing to me, and it's why I made the show, because when I was making it, I never saw myself on stage. I never saw that it was an option for me, and that's why I didn't think I had a very positive view of myself, which then affects my relationships, because if you don't see yourself and you don't see what you can be, then you kind of think there's something wrong with you or you're defective. So to me, the No Bang Theory has two aims. It is to educate neurotypical people about what it means to be autistic, and to show autistic people that it is possible, that your experience and my experience might not be one for one, but there is a core fundamental thing about that lack of understanding, and that, wait, when I do that thing that I saw my friend do 2 weeks ago, and I'm just copying that behavior, I get a completely different result. What's up with that? How does that... that is so universal to the autistic experience that I have seen, and I've spoken to my neuro-autistic friends, which, again, most of my friends are autistic at this point. Not deliberately, we tend to hang in groups.
Look,
it happens.
Yeah, look, this is the thing. That's why most of my friends are not neurotypical either, because we've all got, you kind of just gravitate together, right? Like you just kind of have the similar quirks and similar experiences. Look, during your journey putting this show on, have you ever had any propositions by any audience members through the seasons?
The closest I got was I was doing the show in Melbourne, and someone came up to me and said, oh, I'm taken, but my sister's single.
That's not bad.
That's
not
cute.
Bad.
And what'd you do?
And I'm like, great, thank you. Yeah, cool. Where's your sister? Is she coming? Oh, no, she lives in Canada.
Oh, helpful. So helpful.
Helpful. Very, very helpful. Thank you very much.
Oliver, I was wondering, earlier in our conversation, you mentioned you talk to younger men who are also autistic. What advice do you have for them when you're talking about dating, or what have you figured out for yourself that you can hand on to other people?
Trust in yourself.
Yes.
And a girlfriend doesn't fix the problems that are already there. But young autistic friend of mine got into a pretty dangerous situation because he just a girl seemingly liked him, and he was like, oh my god, a girl likes me, and went above and beyond to appease that human.
Yeah.
While really that person was just taking advantage of him.
You lose yourself completely.
Deeply, deeply sad. But I think what it showed me is how easy it is when you are kind of conditioned and told, which a lot of young autistic men are, that they're probably going to be alone, because that's what the numbers says. It's something like only 35% of autistic people ever actually get married and have a relationship. So, like, if that is what you're being told and that is what you're being fed on a daily basis, you start buying into that. And so when someone comes along that genuinely likes you, I totally get why you go above and beyond for that. But I think it's about trusting in yourself, what you have to offer, and not going after the first person that bats their eyes at you prettily, and actually just trusting in your gut. That's what I'd say to young men, that I'm so grateful that I've never had a relationship at 26, because I now know when it happens, I'll be ready, and I know who I am far more fundamentally than I would if I had gotten into a relationship at 18 and 19. And look, at 18 or 19, I would have been saying the exact same thing and saying, I'm ready for a relationship now. I'm absolutely sure of it. But with hindsight, I can go, yeah, no, I wasn't ready. And I don't know in 5 years' time, if I was to get into a relationship now, that I might be saying the exact same thing. But I think the no bang theory is about a moment in time. It is about me from the ages of about 14 through 17, mostly. There are things that happen earlier and things that happen later that I've kind of mushed into an approximate timeline for narrative convenience. But I think there's something so universal about that time. We've all been teenagers. Even neurotypical people were teenagers once. And the kind of mistakes and the journeys of the unrequited love is universal to every teenage experience, even the neurotypical ones included in that. And there are some specificities that are unique to my dating journey, in that it was about more than just getting into a relationship. It was about needing to prove something to other people because society had told me things about myself that I didn't believe to be true. And various things that are specific to me, but I think there's something so universal about the story of the no bang theory, which is why, back to, I think, one of the questions, why it's been so successful is that everyone can come and see the show and get something out of it. You might not get all the autism jokes, and there are a lot of musical theatre jokes in the no bang theory that a lot of people don't get, but you don't need to get every specific joke, because what is truth are the feelings, and the feelings are universal, and a lot of the jokes are universal, and the jokes you don't get, I do explain. So
perfect.
I think it's really commendable of you to look at your life and to look back, or to look at you in the present and analysing and go, no, I wasn't ready to date when I was 18. I not once as a young man, teenager into my 20s, was I ever stopping and going, should I be having sex with this woman? Should I be dating this woman? I didn't do that enough.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it was just let's go forward, good times. Without, I think everyone would be better off every once in a while, not necessarily in dating, just stop.
In life.
Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing this for the right reasons?
Am I ready? Am I doing it just because I think it's going to solve a problem?
So it's very groovy, mature, kind of healthy stuff that we're getting here from Oliver. Really, really commendable.
Look, if when I was 18, 19, I would have happily said, yeah, let's have sex all the time, let's get groovy.
Sure.
But that didn't happen for a whole bunch of other reasons. And so there's no use being upset about that. It's just about kind of making the best of the situation that I've now found myself in, and a view on relationships that is, I think, quite mature, but also just in a lot of ways I am quite insecure about the fact that I've not had a relationship at 26 and feel like I'm falling behind, that all, friends of mine are getting married and I'm, still single and, all those kind of things. But I think being able to own the fact that I'm insecure about it and go, I'm insecure about it, but I'm going to do a show about it and we're just going to own this space is, I think, more healthy than just what I was doing for a long time, which was just putting the insecurity in a box and trying to mask it behind, I'm fine being single, it's all good, yay, I don't need anybody else.
Oliver, I made a whole podcast to deal with the fact that I'm single and in my late 30s, so I totally get where you're coming from. It's just, you lean into it, don't you? Like, it's one of those things where, every now and then I might be like, I'm lonely and I need a cuddle, but I think creating art where people can hear stories that sound like their stories and give other people an opportunity to be heard and recognize their stories is all about what we wanted to do in this podcast, which is why I think I wanted to get you on the podcast so badly, because I see that in what you're doing with No Bang Theory, and I think it's fantastic. Tom, what have you learnt from speaking to Oliver today?
The point I want to touch on with everyone in the room and on the Zoom is, Oliver, you were talking about this idea that if you found a partner or a girlfriend, then that would complete you, or that's like a goal that must be achieved, right? And so I wanted to throw around this expectation or this idea societally that single people don't have value. I'll dull it right down to basic ideas. Where single people, it's sad, and if you're in a relationship, you're succeeding.
I've been battling against this for so long, and anybody who's listened to this podcast knows that I've been so against that. And I think it's really on the single people to change the narrative on that. We're not to be pitied.
Yeah,
we're quite happy. We may want a partner, but it doesn't mean that we're somehow not successful at life. There's a whole bunch of things that make people successful, and I really, really think that we need to change the narrative about, to be successful, you must be married with kids or want kids at all. I think, we're all making our own way, and, sometimes I think I'm a lot more emotionally healthy than a lot of people I know in relationships. So
no, absolutely. There's 8 billion of us on the planet. We don't all need to get together and procreate right this instant, right?
And look, my big theory is always you can't be in a relationship, and this talks to what you were saying before, Oliver, about falling for the first person to bat their eyes at you. I don't think people can be in a relationship until they're ready to turn someone down.
Oh.
And I know that's a really big call, but I don't think that you can be a healthy person in a relationship unless someone came up to you and said, let's date, and you recognise that they maybe weren't for you and had the power to turn them down.
I like that idea, Liz. That's really good.
Because otherwise you're just going to keep saying yes to parts that are less than your worth and lower your value for other people to try and make a relationship work because you think that's what should happen. But if you're strong enough to say you don't meet my needs, I think that's when you're ready, really. Oliver, thank you so much.
I think that's actually a really good point, because I know at 18 and 19 I wouldn't have been able to say no.
Exactly.
That I think now I'm pretty sure I'd be able to say no, but there's still a little voice of doubt that says, well, maybe you wouldn't.
But cuddles are really nice.
Yes, right.
And I think, again, for me, it's about acknowledging that and listening to that voice and not ignoring it, and just saying, that voice is there, we will deal with that problem if and when it comes up, and then I'll be able to answer that question. That there's no use in me going, am I ready, because I can't say no. It's like, no one's asked you yet, so you can't really say no.
Yes. The question has not been put out there, therefore, you don't know.
Yeah.
Perfect. Look, Oliver, can you give us some dates and a plug and where people can buy tickets to see No Bang Theory off the top of your head? We'll put it in the show notes as well, of course.
Yes. So for the Brisbane Festival show, you go to the Brisbane Festival website and look up the No Bang Theory and you'll find it. Same with the NAFA website, which again I'll give to you guys to put into the show notes. And follow me on Instagram. I'm at Twist of Oliver HP on Instagram, and you'll find out all the shows that I'm doing, all the new stuff as I get funding to develop it, because I'm always trying. It's just difficult. Welcome to the arts.
Yes.
And yeah, I've really enjoyed this. This is a part of the No Bang Theory journey that I don't get to talk about often. I'm usually talking about more of the autism advocacy side of it. So talking about the dating side of it and my relationships has been really kind of fun.
Oh, great.
Great. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been very eye-opening having a chat to you, and I love the fact that you're, you know, as you said, you can't be what you can't see. And so I imagine that there'd be so many people getting so much out of your show, whether they're autistic or neurotypical, because as we've said, the dating experience, everyone's a bunch of hormones when they're younger. So the dating experience when you're 14 to about 20, it's all traumatic.
If I met someone that said, yeah, I didn't have any dating mishaps in my teens and early 20s, I wouldn't trust them. Yeah, I think we're all universally aligned on that one. Dear readers, I hope that this conversation added another wrinkle to your already big and bustly brains. A lot to very fascinating, very interesting, and kind of important, I think, to hear this. To hear these stories, what people are working on.
If you want to help people be what they can't see and you've got a story for us, please contact us at ghostsofboyfriendspast@gmail.com, or you can go to that'snotcanon.com/ghostsofboyfriendspast and think about if you've got a dating story that you can share that might help somebody else who's listening to feel like they're not alone and they can do this, or, you know, everything's terrible and let's all commiserate together.
Or if there's someone in your life that you know has a ripper of a dating story, get it out of them. They can write it down and send it in to us. We can read it out on the show.
I'll even take the time if you don't want to write it down and you don't want to come on the show because you don't want people to know who it is. I'll interview you. I'll write it to be real nice, send it to you to approve. You don't have to do anything but talk to me, and I won't tell anyone who you are. We'll share all of the stories. In the meantime, Oliver, thank you so much for sharing your story, and everyone get along to see the No Bang Theory.